Come out of school with student loans. Medical debt is actually pretty heavy. And I was eating dinner with a friend last night. I didn't realize, and this is a stat that he told me, I think, does medical debt make up maybe like 40% of people's debt in general? Have you heard that?
I wouldn't doubt that. I
Yeah.
see it, looking at credit reports, I see medical debt is a really big factor. Now, that's something we've been trying to address to not have it count against you so heavily on your credit scores. One thing I can say is medical debts don't need to be paid off before closing like some other debts may have to. Yeah, when people get out of school, student loans, that's another huge thing. And one important, really timely thing right now is for the last 5 years since COVID, so many people have had their loans in deferment status, and they may not realize that those loans have rolled out of deferment and they may be delinquent. So I think another kind of top piece of advice I have for folks on credit is you are authorized to get a free credit report every year from annualcreditreport.com. And I recommend that everyone takes advantage of that. You can get all three bureaus with all of the data that they have. And it's really important to review that because you could see maybe your student loans have fallen out of deferment and I just saw a client the other day, he didn't know it, but he had a 90-day delinquency and it dropped his score 100 points. So it's really important to monitor your credit and stay on top of it.
So go through that again. What's that website?
It's called annualcreditreport.com.
Okay, and obviously not a super lengthy process, just probably a application into the system and then they send you a report back.
Yeah, I will say it's not the simplest thing. Anything to do with credit, unfortunately, tends to not be incredibly simple. Credit and the IRS, they don't make it easy. But what you do is you go there and you put in your social security number and your information, and then you have to go to each bureau individually. So there's three bureaus that we pull credit scores from, and you have to pull down your report from each bureau and save it. But that's something that I do every year just as a checkup, a financial checkup on myself. But another thing you can do is if you are thinking about buying a house is talk to a lender early on. I pull soft credit checks with all of my clients to start out with. And a lot of times I tell them maybe you're only 2 years away or a year away. It might not be right now, or you think you're sure you can't buy a house. The most important thing is to know where you're starting so we know how to get you where you're going.
That's right.
If I don't know where you're starting, we can't create a plan. So when I get a client working with me, we do that kind of financial wellness checkup. We see where they're starting and what can we do, what steps can we take so that we get you ready. Because the last thing you want to do is find your dream home and then realize that you've got credit improvement to do and lose out on that. It's a process that I work with people. I've had clients that I've come back to after 4 years of credit building and we've gotten them ready to buy.
That's, again, you just kind of reiterated my point for this podcast is to people oftentimes are just like, where do I just start on Zillow looking for houses? You start with a phone call to a lender. Christi is wonderful. We'll give the email and phone number here at the end of this episode. Or me, just make a phone call to somebody that knows the real estate market and just start asking questions. And then it naturally guides you through the steps to take. And, student loans may be in the weeds a little bit, but that's still, some people think of it like, well, gosh, I've got a lot of debt or I've been late on some medical payments. And, maybe the medical loans or debt doesn't count against you, and
Right.
the student loans are handled differently than if I bought 2 boats and a car and, I have a $50,000 credit card that I hadn't paid on in 2 months. They're all different. They all kind of sting a little differently, right? So
Yeah, they do in how we calculate.
debt's not a deal breaker, just
No.
something that you have to plan around. That's good.